Cell mediated immunity. Cell mediated immunity is most important immunity which is depending on the activation of the T cells. There are various types of immunity present according to the activation of the cells. For example, antibody mediated immunity or antibody mediated cell cytotoxicity, or other one is the cell mediated immunity. There are various types of immunity which is depends on the activation of the cells. The cell mediated immunity is depending on the activation of the cytotoxic T cells. The antibody mediated immunity is depending on the B cells, that is, the B cells produces plasma cell produces antibody. And other type of immunity, that is the antibody mediated cell cytotoxicity, is depending on the natural killer cells, that is NK cells. So in the cell mediated immunity there are three types of most important cell, that is the cytotoxic T cells, helper T cells and suppressor T cell. Let's see how the T cell is mature and how the T cells cell mediated immunity will be shown. Firstly, you should understand that how the T cells is produces in the body. In the bone marrow there is the production of the stem cells, and that stem cell produces two types of cell, that is the T cells and the B cells. Both are type of cells are most important for the immune response. The B cells are shows the antibody mediated immunity, and T cells are produces in the bone marrow, but for maturation it should be migrate to the thymus. That's why it called as the T cells. So once T cells produces in the bone marrow, it should be migrate to the thymus for the maturation. And during the maturation process, what happen, the maturing T cells are exposed with the own body cells. If the that maturing T cells are shows the effect against the own body cells, shows the antigenicity against the own body cells, so these types of the T cells should be killed into the thymus. Only those types of cells should be survive which can't shows the antigenicity against the own body cells, means the recognition of the own body cells is takes place in the thymus. So this is most important to understand the exact process of the T cells, that how the T cells should be uh, produces. So once the T cells, mature T cells is produces, it is known as the thymosin, or the process of which the lymphoblast are produces the cytotoxic T lymphocytes. So it the cell mediated immunity is totally depend on the cytotoxic T cells, and MSC is also called as a major histocompatibility complex. The exact process of the cell mediated immunity it will be say in the next slide. So this is the cell mediated immunity, and this is most important picture to understand the whole process of the cell mediated immunity. So in the bone marrow there is the production of the stem cells. In the bone marrow there is a production of the stem cells. So these stem cells are responsible for the production of the two types of cell. First one is the T cells, and other one is the B cells. So this is the T cells and the B cells. The T cells are responsible for the thymus, responsible for the cell mediated immunity, and B cells are responsible for the antibody mediated immunity. So the T cells are matured in the thymus, and there is the lymphoblast produces a cytotoxic T lymphocytes. The cytotoxic T lymphocytes are known as the thymosin, which is matured T cells. So these matured T cells, once these types of cells are produced into the thymus, how it will be produced, that in the bone marrow there is a production of stem cell produces the T cells and the B cells. The T cells migrate to the thymus. When it should be get into the thymus, there is a maturation process. During maturation it should be able to recognize the own body cell, and these types of cell which this type of T cell which is able to recognize the own body cell is called as the thymosin, or called as the thymocytes. So these thymosin are responsible for the clearance of the intracellular antigen. If the any antigen come inside the body which contains the intracellular antigen, or any cell in the body which contains the intracellular antigen, these types of cells should be survived by the so these types of cells should be killed by the cytotoxic T cells. So there is the MHC should be express the antigen, and cytotoxic T cells should be able to cytotoxic T cell should fragment this antigen into the small pieces, and then cytotoxic T cells produces some intracellular enzyme which is responsible for the breakdown of the antigen, and this antigen should be expressed by the MSC in their surface. And there is a other cells also come, which is called as a macrophages. So the macrophages are responsible for the engulfment of these debris and convert it into the pus and other out of the body. So this is most important part of the cell mediated immunity. What happened there is in the stem cell there is a production of the B cells and the T cells, and in the T cell maturation it should be get into the thymus. So this is exact maturation process where is the thymoblast and thymosin is produces. Thymosin means it is mature T cells, and this is antigen presenting cell. So this antigen presenting cell are responsible for the present the antigen in their self surface. Antigen presenting cells is also known as the dendritic cells. So these dendritic cells present the antigen in their surface. So one is present the antigen in their surface, there is the attachment of the cytotoxic T cells, and it should be that is cytotoxic T cells. So once it binds to the antigen, it fragment this antigen. So other macrophages should become and engulf such a lyse cell which is known as the debris. So these debris are engulfed by the macrophages. Macrophages after engulfment of such a debris should become in the form of the pus. So this is the exact mechanism of the cell mediated immunity, and it is totally depend on the T cell activation. Thank you.